A plate shattered against the diner floor, and Ray dropped to her knees without hesitation, brushing aside the shards before they cut the old woman's trembling feet. Customers stared, the other waitresses froze, but Ray simply said, "Are you okay, ma'am? Don't move. I've got you." The old woman nodded, embarrassed, whispering, "Thank you, dear. You're the only one who ever sees me." And just like that, Ray helped her to her seat the way she did every morning, unaware that this small act of kindness was about to change her entire life. Maple Ridge Diner was always busy at sunrise, but the old woman arrived earlier than everyone else. Her clothes were worn, her hair a tangled gray, and her thin fingers shook whenever she opened her tiny coin purse. Most staff assumed she was broke, maybe even homeless. They called her the Morning Ghost, joked about her cheap orders, and groaned the moment she walked in. But Ray always smiled when she saw her, wiping her hands on her apron and walking over immediately. "Your usual breakfast tea," she'd ask. The woman's eyes softened every time. "If you don't mind, dear." One morning, Ray slid into the booth beside her when she noticed the woman struggling to lift her cup. "Can I help?" Ray whispered. "I'm getting slow," the woman said. "The world doesn't wait for people like me." Ray shook her head. "It should you matter." Their conversations became the only light in the woman's mornings. She told Ray stories about old towns she'd lived in, a husband who had passed, a daughter she lost touch with. Ray never rushed her. She never judged her. She just listened, something the woman clearly hadn't experienced in a long time. But not everyone approved. At the counter, a waitress muttered, "Ray spends more time with that old woman than doing her job." Another laughed. "If she had money, maybe she'd tip better." Ray shot them a sharp glare. "She's a human being." "Yeah, well," one replied, "humans should at least order more than a cup of tea." The old woman overheard once and lowered her head. Ray gently touched her hand. "Ignore them. I'm here for you." The woman whispered, "Bless your heart. You remind me of someone I used to trust." Days passed, weeks passed, and their bond deepened. Ray would walk her to the door every morning. She'd help her down the first 2 steps, carrying her bag as if it were precious cargo. Once the woman stumbled, and Ray caught her instantly. "I don't know what I'd do without you," the woman said, voice trembling. "You don't have to know," Ray replied. "You're safe with me." Then one morning the woman didn't come. Ray kept glancing at the door between serving tables. Minutes turned to an hour, then 2. The booth by the window sat empty, eerily empty. She excused herself and stepped outside, scanning the quiet street. Nothing. A sinking feeling gripped her chest. Something was wrong. When she walked back in, she felt the shift in the room before she even saw it. 3 people in dark suits stood near the register, their serious expressions immediately drawing attention. One of them, a woman holding a leather folder, cleared her throat. "We're looking for a waitress named Ray." The entire diner fell silent. Even the kitchen noise seemed to stop. Ray stepped forward, confused. "That's me. Is something wrong?" The woman nodded gently. "It's about someone you know. Evelyn Carter." Ray blinked. "Who?" "The elderly woman who visits every morning," the attorney said. "Her real name is Evelyn Carter." The other waitresses exchanged puzzled looks. "Wait," one muttered. "She has a real name?" "Quiet," Ray snapped, fear and confusion rising. The attorney continued. "Evelyn was not poor. She wasn't homeless, and she didn't come here for cheap breakfast tea." She paused, letting the tension tighten. "She came to observe." "Observe what?" Ray whispered. "How people treated those they believed had nothing to offer," the attorney said. "Evelyn was the founder and owner of Maple Ridge Holdings, the corporation that owns this diner and 17 others." Gasps rippled across the room. Someone cursed under their breath. A plate nearly slipped from a cook's hand. Ray staggered back a step. She owned this place. She built everything, the attorney said, and she chose this diner for her personal visits. She wanted to see how staff behaved when no one was watching. The attorney opened the leather folder, and she made it very clear who stood out. Ray's heart pounded so hard she thought she might faint. She left instructions, the attorney continued, that the employee who treated her with genuine kindness should be rewarded. The room held its breath. She chose you, Ray. Ray felt her throat tighten. Rewarded how? You are being promoted to general manager, the attorney said softly. Effective immediately, full salary, benefits and training. And she asked us to deliver this to you. It was a handwritten letter. Ray opened it with trembling hands. A soft voice read in her mind, "Thank you for seeing me when others looked past me. You reminded me of why I created this diner, to remind people that kindness still exists, never change." Tears streamed down Ray's face. Her co-workers looked at her with shame, regret, and a mix of disbelief. None of them had suspected the truth, Ray whispered. "I wish she were here so I could say thank you." "She knew you'd say that," the attorney replied. "And she wanted you to know she was grateful for every single morning you gave her." Ray pressed the letter to her chest, taking in a shaky breath. She looked around the diner with new eyes, not proud, but humbled. And as she stepped into her new role, she made a promise to lead the way Evelyn did, with dignity, compassion, and humanity. If you enjoyed this story, make sure you like the video, subscribe for more inspiring journeys, and leave a comment sharing what you learned from Ray's kindness.